The elders understand what their leader means without needing more words. Everyone trained in the demon sect knows that reaching 5 stars in the reverse blood demon technique pushes the body into a wild, berserk state. Only those at the level of extreme demon, like the Radiant Left and Right Envoys, can control this madness. For others, using this technique is like lighting their own funeral pyre. It's nothing but a flashy suicide. The cult leader, still panting and desperate, coldly reminds them that if he dies, they're next in line. To him, their lives are tools, not worth a second thought. Instead of waiting for their decision, he takes it upon himself to force their hand. With a wave of power, he stirs up their demonic energy from the inside, dragging them into a berserk state whether they want it or not. A wave of worry spreads among the elders. They feel their minds slipping as the technique takes over. It's clear now that their leader doesn't care who dies, as long as someone stalls Yeon-myeong. Some elders wonder if there's even a point. Their strongest warrior, their supreme leader, has already been toyed with. They realize it. If he can't win, how could they? Even with these doubts, they feel there's no choice left. One by one they charge forward, their bodies shaking from the unstable energy. Their minds are gone, lost to rage. But Yeon-myeong is ready. With calm precision he draws his sword, uses the annihilation technique, and it finishes all the berserk elders instantly. Every one of them is cut in tens of pieces. The cult leader watches this in disbelief. His so-called elite forces are now nothing but mince. Even after using the deadly 5-star technique, they couldn't survive a single move. He looks down, only to find something else. His beloved cult lady is almost on the verge of death too. Angry, the cult leader starts to blame the loss on his fading strength. He wonders if his own energy is running so low that he can't keep his precious lady alive. Yeon-myeong walks forward without mercy. He knows this weak, desperate man is only trying to buy time. But time is the one thing he refuses to give. The cult leader, cornered and shaking, mumbles nonsense and prepares to use a forbidden technique. A sudden blast of energy erupts. The rebound is so strong that even Yeon-myeong gets pushed back a few steps. He's surprised. The cult leader somehow still has enough energy to release that kind of force. Yeon-myeong looks up, his eyes catching sight of something unusual in the sky. A crimson cloud starts to form, dark and ominous. He can feel it in the air, something isn't right. The cult leader might be up to another trick, something connected to the rebound effect from earlier. Yeon-myeong senses a strange pull in the air, a thick energy he hasn't encountered before. That's when it hits him. The dead are being drained of their demonic energy. The cult leader, ever the opportunist, is feeding off the bodies of his fallen minions, constantly regenerating his own internal energy. He rests, pretending to mourn for his fallen cult lady, but it's clear now, he's not grieving, he's fueling himself. He closes her eyes and tells her to rest in peace. With his internal energy surging, the cult leader's armor begins to recover at a rapid pace. Yeon-myeong isn't surprised. He's already bracing himself for another difficult fight. He knows what's coming. He reflects that the cult leader has already endured his 10,000 sword summons once, so this time he'll need an even stronger blow. His instincts tell him that he'll need to focus all his power into one concentrated strike to break through the cult leader's defenses. The first round of attacks didn't work, but he isn't backing down. He's been through worse. And now he's ready to raise the stakes. Yeon-myeong concentrates all his energy at one narrow space and launches the 10,000 sword summons, filling the sky with an explosion of power. The attack should have been the end of it, but to his disbelief, the cult leader is so OP right now that it survives it like nothing happened. Yeon-myeong can hardly believe it. He wonders how someone could withstand such an overwhelming attack. But the cult leader isn't done talking. He explains that the Crimson Cloud isn't just a cloud, it's a domain, a battlefield of its own. Anyone caught within it, alive or dead, will be subjected to a berserk induction, feeding the cult leader even more power. The cloud expands, extracting the demonic energy of every member of the demon sect in Xinjiang, growing stronger with each passing second. And then that cloud is feeding this demonic energy to cult leader. Yeon-myeong is shocked, realizing the scale of what the cult leader has done. This isn't just a fight anymore, it's a massacre. The cult leader doesn't care about anyone, even the innocent civilians caught in the crossfire. His followers, the innocents, and even the dead are just pawns in his twisted game. He is killing everyone, and it doesn't matter to him. And the cult leader doesn't hesitate to confirm it. He sees their lives as nothing, as easily replaceable as grains of sand. The belief that faith can be rebuilt, that lives can be tossed aside for his so-called righteousness, is his warped justification. Snaky appears and speaks up. He reminds Yeon-myeong that it might actually be better for everyone if the whole demon sect were wiped out completely. Yeon-myeong reflects on the situation with a grim understanding. If it were only the demon sect members being affected, he wouldn't care much. They're demons, their fate is sealed. But the real problem lies with the innocent people living in barren Xinjiang. These civilians have unknowingly absorbed demonic energy, not through dark rituals, but through breathing. They merely thought they were learning breathing techniques for health. They never intended for this to happen, yet now their bodies are filled with dangerous energy. Yeon-myeong himself realized it after experiencing the effects of the Nirvana pill. Even if they haven't directly studied the demonic arts, the continuous exposure to the Nirvana pill's toxicity has filled their bodies with demonic energy. If he were to just stand back and let them die, it would be a repeat of what happened before. He'd be making the same mistake, and that guilt would eat at him forever. But he can't let himself drown in regret. As the leader of the Righteous Alliance, he has a duty, a responsibility to protect everyone in the Central Plains. He knows he must act now. He can't keep hesitating. He says that the time has come to finish the cult leader off before the domain spreads any further, even if it means he has to use dragon scale and his own life force. But Snaky, ever the pragmatist, steps in, telling him that won't be necessary. According to Snaky, if the situation is as bad as Yeon-myeong says, the key is to prevent the Crimson Cloud from expanding. Yeon-myeong is curious and asks if Snaky has a plan. Snaky, with a glint of confidence, reveals that when it comes to sorcery, he's far more knowledgeable than Yeon-myeong. Besides, their connection through the spirit link means Snaky can't just sit by and let him die. Though Snaky doesn't outwardly express it, he can't help but feel he's been influenced by Yeon-myeong's persistent determination. It's starting to affect him more than he'd like to admit. With a clear goal in mind, Snaky flies high into the sky, preparing for the spell that will change the tide of the battle. He tells Yeon-myeong to keep the cult leader distracted so that he won't interfere with his spellcasting. Yeon-myeong isn't about to let up on the cult leader, though, and launches another attack, keeping the leader's attention fixed on him. The cult leader curses Snaky, frustrated but unable to look away. He knows this spirit snake is nothing but a pain in his demonic butt. Meanwhile, Snaky isn't wasting any time. He studies the domain, now only stretching as far as Cheongshan. To stop it from spreading any further, he must use his power as an evil spirit. He channels his energy, and as he releases it, the power begins to stir the air around him, causing a violent reaction. The cult leader realizes what Snaky is doing. He sees that Snaky is using up his own power to stop the Crimson Cloud from expanding. The cult leader knows this is dangerous. If Snaky continues to deplete his energy this recklessly, he might die. Just as the cult leader is lost in these thoughts, a massive strike lands, splitting his sword in half. Yeon-myeong smiles, feeling a surge of relief. Without Snaky, this fight would have been nearly impossible to win. The cult leader curses Snaky, blaming him for interfering with his ability to replenish his own strength. He's furious. On the other hand, Snaky, who is already giving everything he has, finds himself strangely calm. He never thought he would sacrifice his cultivation for something like this. In fact, he never imagined his heart could open up in this way. His past was full of betrayal and heartache. When Myeong-gaek he once trusted discarded him without reason, it nearly broke him. Myeong-gaek had warned him that he was in danger, that this was the only way Snaky would survive. There had been no choice but to accept it. Then he sealed him the dark and suffocating jar, leaving him with nothing but silence and darkness. But in the moments before Myeong-gaek sealed him, Snaky recalls something more. Myeong-gaek had said something else, something Snaky couldn't quite understand at the time. However, he brushes it off as the usual talk about being a tool, or something similar. Myeong-gaek had always viewed him that way, a tool to be used and discarded. But now, reflecting on the past, Snaky realizes that Yeon-myeong, his descendant, has never treated him like that. Yeon-myeong, despite using him, has always shown respect and gratitude. Unlike Myeong-gaek, who saw him as a mere instrument, Yeon-myeong values him. Snaky doesn't feel used. He feels like he's truly part of something greater than just being a tool. This isn't just about their spirit link. It's the bond of friendship that has grown between them. While Snaky reflects on this, the energy around him intensifies, swearing more powerfully than before. With every release of power, the Crimson Cloud slowly diminishes. The energy continues to build within him. Snaky recalls the desperation he felt when Myeong-gaek sealed him away. He pleaded with Myeong-gaek, begging him not to lock him away. He had asked for no total freedom. He only wanted to be free from the cage, to be allowed to live. But Myeong-gaek did it anyway. The decision was made. Snaky didn't understand that at the time, and he still doesn't know the truth. What Snaky doesn't realize is that Myeong did it for him for his future. Myeong-gaek, when sealing him away, had whispered words of regret, words of affection that Snaky never heard. Myeong-gaek had said that he was sorry. He had known that Snaky wouldn't hear it, but he still had to say it. He had said that Snaky was a great help to him, and that he regretted not showing Snaky the affection he deserved. Myeong-gaek had known that Snaky had reached the level of true solitude and that the forces of darkness, the Bangas of Black Tars, would never leave him alone. Myeong-gaek wished that someone from the next generation would find Snaky and give him the freedom he deserved. He had promised to protect him, to take care of those who might stand in the way of his freedom. Then Myeong-gaek had said, "Thank you for everything, my friend." Snaky was never meant to stay locked away. The final words of Myeong were a quiet acknowledgement of his worth. He will never know that Myeong always loved him. Meanwhile, young Myeong notices the change in the clouds and realizes that things on Snaky's end must be going well. The crimson cloud is starting to fade, which means Snaky's spell is working. Now, with the situation starting to shift in their favor, young Myeong decides it's time to stop seeing Snaky as just a tool for replenishing poison. He's more than that. The formation the cult leader is using is weakening, so it's time to finish this. He says to the cult leader, he guesses it's about time they wrap things up on their end too. The cult leader, gasping for breath, warns young Myeong that if he kills him now, he will regret it sooner or later. Young Myeong, unfazed and with a serious look, asks if the cult leader has another trick left up his sleeve. The cult leader, desperate to turn the tide, explains that the desert young Myeong has passed through has a spell formation meant to seal evil spirits, ghosts, and demons. He calls it the reverse dragon sealing formation, and he claims that at any moment, he can release it, unleashing cross across Xinjiang and even the Central Plains. The cult leader believes that his last move will put the Central Plains in jeopardy, forcing young Myeong to hesitate. But young Myeong isn't intimidated. With gleaming eyes, he challenges the cult leader to release the formation, saying he's ready. The cult leader scoffs, asking where his confidence is coming from. Young Myeong just makes a straight face in response. The plan of the cult leader seems falling apart, but he stubbornly insists that he can still release the formation. However, something shocks him. He can no longer sense the energy of the reverse dragon sealing formation. His power has been cut off. Young Myeong, ever calm, tells him that if that's all he's got, then it's over. He goes on to explain that Snaky had transformed into a black snake, thanks to the reverse dragon sealing formation. Snaky had already devoured all the evil spirit energy within the formation. Hearing that Snaky has destroyed his last hope, the cult leader is furious. He curses, ranting that he had painstakingly gathered all those spirits for this moment. But before he can say another word, young Myeong strikes and cuts him clean in two. Yumien had enough of his monologues. He reaches the dying cult leader and looks at him. With his vision beginning to fade, the cult leader murmurs to himself. He's sad to die this way, defeated after using every trick in his arsenal. He reflects that to die just before the demonic rule of the world, it is infuriating. He curses his ancestors, wondering why they never destroyed the whole Tang family. It's the last bitter thought he has before he dies. Young Myeong stands victorious, but he knows this battle isn't over. The demonic cult leader is almost dead, but there's no time to relax. And separate from the heavenly demon divine cult, the war against the demonic vast heaven continues. He then looks above and says, anyway, most of the clouds that once threatened to swallow everything are cleared, but Snaky is nowhere to be seen. He wonders what Snaky is doing now. He always disappears at the worst times. He summons Snaky and the next moment Snaky falls from the sky all dizzy. Young Myeong grabs him, shakes him and says if he is done with his job, he should come back immediately. He asks Snaky where he was even goofing off. Snaky looks visibly shocked. He replies that he was about to come anyway, and asks if young Myeong really must forcefully summon him like that. Young Myeong looks at him closely and says what? Snaky asks him why he's staring at him like that. Snaky, now noticeably different, seems to have undergone a transformation. His slithering form has changed dramatically. His skin has turned white and he now has legs. Snaky explains that he exhausted all his cultivation as an evil spirit to shrink the cloud domain. He didn't care about the consequences, thinking he would vanish without his energy. But something unexpected happened. Instead of disappearing, he felt a new power surge within him, and he found himself transformed. Snaky admits, with a hint of surprise, that he didn't expect the result of shedding his old constraints would be so drastic. He's no longer an evil spirit. Somehow he is born as a new kind of spiritual power. Young Myeong can't help but stare in awe and asks so he became a dragon. With strange expression, Snaky replies, yeah. He didn't expect that breaking free of his shackles would lead to this. Young Myeong still cannot believe it and asks didn't they say dragons are born from the energy of heaven and earth? Then if Snaky is now a young dragon. Snaky, with his usual charm and cuteness, shakes his head. He points out that he's never seen an evil spirit transform into a dragon before. Still, he suggests that his time as an evil spirit can be considered his young dragon period. With a poker face, young Myeong asks Snaky if he has gained any new abilities and if he can't use poison anymore. With a proud tone, Snaky reassures young Myeong that he can still use poison, just as he always has. However, his new dragon cultivation is like that of a newborn, raw and unrefined. Snaky isn't sure how useful it will be yet, but he's confident it will be helpful in the future. Young Myeong tells Snaky that he's already proven to be a great asset. There's no need for him to feel glum about it. Grateful for the bond they share, Snaky admits he's thankful to be young Myeong's familiar. Gaining new cultivation in such a short time is a remarkable feat. Young Myeong says to Snaky that now both of them have grown through their journey, and now it's time to move forward. They need to head back, as the fight against the demonic path is just beginning. However, just before they can leave, Yeon-myeong senses something strange. Turning around, he notices a figure moving in the distance. It's Moonchin, and he is drinking the blood of the fallen sect leader. Yeon-myeong hadn't sensed his presence at all. He wonders who that guy is and how long he has been standing there. The cult leader, still clinging to life somehow, watches as the Moonchin feeds on him. The cult leader asks Moonchin if he is the small poison demon and what is he doing. Moonchin doesn't reply and continues drinking his blood, and when he is done sucking every drop of energy from the cult leader, he smashes his head onto the ground, killing the cult leader on the spot. Moonchin grins to himself, as expected from the blood of someone who's cultivated spiritual rank. He can feel my level rising just from drinking your blood. He mutters to himself that he should at least thank that person for the gift. Then, Moonchin shifts his attention to Yeon-myeong. He calls out, in a familiar tone, saying it's been a while, Tang Yeon-myeong, hasn't it? Moonchin grins and adds he never thought he'd run into him here in Xinjiang. Yeon-myeong doesn't miss a beat. He recognizes that voice. He asks Moonchin with a sharp focus if it's really him, the Moonchin. Moonchin smiles, touched that Yeon-myeong recognizes him. He had thought Yeon-myeong had forgotten about him by now, but here they are face to face again. Yeon-myeong stays serious. He remembers hearing the sect leader refer to Moonchin as the small poison demon, which means he must be the one who broke through the front lines of Gongdong and Kunlun. It's all starting to click. Moonchin is no ordinary enemy. He's someone who's played a bigger role than Yeon-myeong first realized. Yeon-myeong, unable to hold back his anger, confronts the Moonchin directly, asking if he's the one responsible for killing the Tang family warriors sent to support them. Moonchin, his grin widening, doesn't seem to hesitate in admitting it. He proudly explains that anyone who opposed the surrender to the demonic cult that day was wiped out. He's oddly pleased with this, as if the massacre has somehow freed him. Then, with a grin that makes him look more like a fool than anything else, Moonchin adds that thinking about how the Tang family and Yeon-myeong were ruined by it gives him a sense of satisfaction. He claims it feels absolutely refreshing, but of course it is still not enough. Before he can continue his smug boasting, Yeon-myeong cuts him down in a flash, ripping him in half. Yeon-myeong is not having it. In a cold tone, he tells Moonchin that sending his family to Kunlun was the final mercy his mother, the family head, granted him. It was his last chance to restore his honor, to live on under the Tang name. There was still a sliver of hope for him, yet it seems Moonchin has thrown it all away. Moonchin, however, scoffs at the very mention of the Tang name. He dismisses it completely, as if it were nothing but a joke. The words hit Yeon-myeong harder than he expected. The sight of Moonchin's utter lack of respect for his family's legacy is almost incomprehensible. Yeon-myeong's shock lingers for a moment, but it's quickly replaced by disgust. Moonchin's body begins to heal rapidly. It's as if he's brushing off the damage with ease, his body regenerating at an unnatural speed. With a dismissive smirk, Moonchin goes on to explain that after being demoted like he was, he could never hold on to something like family honor. The idea of family honor is laughable to him now. He couldn't care less. Yeon-myeong, unable to believe what he's seeing, turns to Snaky for an answer. He asks if Moonchin is even human anymore. Snaky, ever the observant one, takes a moment to analyze the situation. He quietly responds, noting that whatever Moonchin is now, he's clearly gone far beyond regular sorcery. Snaky can sense something off about him. There's a faint yet undeniable trace of divine essence in his blood. It's not some simple magic or inner energy. There's something much more powerful at play here. The divine essence is so strong that even Snaky, a dragon, can sense it. This level of energy is beyond anything he's ever encountered, and it leaves Snaky with a deep, unsettling question. He wonders what happened to Moonchin, and how did he end up like this? The transformation is unlike anyone could have predicted. Moonchin, meanwhile, is now fully healed. He says that he's been waiting for this day, waiting for his chance to bring Yeon-myeong down. With a furious scream, he charges forward, claiming that Yeon-myeong must die for taking everything that was rightfully his. His anger is palpable, but before he can even finish his rant, Yeon-myeong slices him into thousands of pieces, silencing his endless babbling. He's done hearing this nonsense. Even in pieces, Moonchin isn't done. The severed parts of his body continue to talk back. They speak with a twisted sense of pride, as if nothing can stop him. Despite reaching the peak demon level, it's still not enough to defeat Yeon-myeong. Yeon-myeong is stunned, unable to believe what he's seeing. He watches, dumbfounded, as the pieces of Moonchin's body begin to reassemble. Slowly, the twisted form of Moonchin reforms and he's alive again. Yeon-myeong, still in shock, asks if Moonchin has somehow turned into some kind of monster. Moonchin, clearly amused by Yeon-myeong's reaction, mocks him with a smirk. He plays off Yeon-myeong's question, almost enjoying the fact that his transformation is so beyond anything Yeon-myeong can understand. Moonchin taunts Yeon-myeong, asking for a cool title while he's at it. He mocks Yeon-myeong, reminding him that his nickname, Right Venomous Sword Dragon, is well known across Xinjiang, Since Yeon-myeong has won, Moonchin decides to come up with his own. With a grin, Moonchin declares himself the undying immortal who won't rest until the venomous sword dragon is slain. He continues, saying he will be the one to stain the world with divine blood, calling himself the undying blood demon. His voice drips with twisted pride, as if he's already convinced that his new title is well earned. The arrogance in his words is thick, but it's clear that he's not just toying with Yeon-myeong. He truly believes he's unbeatable. And that was it from today's video. I hope that you liked the video, and if you did, hit that like button as the goal for today is 1,500 likes. Comment next part down below to see what happens next. Also, consider subscribing with the notification bell on to get notified as soon as a new video drops onto the channel. You can also join the channel to support me financially and watch videos before public release. I'll meet you in the next video. Until then, thanks for watching.